Right.
Hi,
Look like
everybody.
she's coming from
So
heaven.
Kristen
She
in
is.
San Diego. It looks like it.
I am.
Can you hear us, Chris?
I can.
Oh, good, good. And hi, Robin. And happy trick or treat to everyone. It was interesting driving here tonight with
Yes, it
everybody else. So the first is the minutes. Did everybody have a chance to review the
September, yes.
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 I have a correction.
Okay.
My last name is misspelled. It is F-I.
A question about those kind of typos. Is that something we should, because I have sent one in, same thing, last name. Have that corrected before and have to send it back out to everyone? What's the protocol? I'm doing the minutes today, so I want to know.
That often, although,
Oh, okay.
but it happened twice this week.
No protocol.
I mean, I'm happy to fix things like that, just
Okay.
to send it back.
Think we need to reissue the
No, no,
minutes.
just you can accept with the,
Okay.
corrections. The minutes with the corrections that state.
Okay. Okay. So does anybody want to make a motion to accept the minute? I think that.
I'll second it. Who's taking minutes?
I am.
That's taking minutes. Yes, so. All right.
All in favor?
All in favor? Thank you.
I was on vacation.
I would, never mind.
Oh, let me see, where's the agenda? And I met and we were reading that the November meeting is the day before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And we didn't think that would be so great. Because we're meeting December 17th. Anyway, just fairly early. So, and then the next item. The Schubert Liz Fit painting. It was really nice. They had it. Lenny was there and I was there and Chris was there and I think Kate was there too. And it just went really well. And the portrait looks beautiful and a lot of Liz's clients were there as well. And she was just thrilled and it was all worked out very well. And I'm actually working out with her now.
That's
So,
fun.
And then Beth, did you want to talk about?
Yes,
The garden?
So we had a soft deadline of the end of October for everyone to send me their updates. I have most of them, Ernie, Jen, and Lenny. I'm gonna pass this around. There's a couple new ones on here if anyone wants to sign up for those. And just confirm, if you don't want to do one of these, let me know. I was thinking of two things. One, I'm already working on the historical art section. And then I was thinking of also doing just a one pager that said identified art, research in progress. So I don't think it's, if you don't get to these, I think it's okay. I'd love to be able to get a final version in November to the city, Stephanie Secord, so she can upload it. So, but there's less pressure if we do it that way. Just pass that around.
Okay. And then Nebby fundraising, I'm happy to report we're up to 36,000 that we've raised. And it's we still have to raise 125, so we're moving along, but it's going well and we're working really hard on that. I wanted to give a shout out to Lenny.
Lenny's not.
Yeah, she's not here, but just because she referred someone that she thought was someone who appreciates art and also is a position to donate. And I met with him yesterday and it went really well. So, if you think of anybody, it's just so helpful to have that. I was just talking about you, Lenny. I've been saying it. Thank you for.
Don't believe a word she
Yeah,
said.
for giving us the contact for NEBI potential donations. And it was really, really appreciated. And, I don't know if there's no pressure to donate,
That's mine.
but it's just fun to tell people about the project and, share our enthusiasm. And it's really helpful to have that contact to get, to open up the door. So thank you very much for that.
I apologize for not being able to join you, but
It worked out. It worked out. So, we'll see. Our plan is to, raise half the money and then really go public with it and really encourage all kinds of donations. So we're not quite there yet. The maquette should be done really soon. And that's gonna be a 1/3, of the, final size. It'll be 3 foot, reproduction or whatever you call it of the piece of NEBI. So
And do we own it? after?
yes,
Okay.
we do.
So it could be displayed somewhere?
Yeah, so we've talked about that, we've talked about having an event, we've talked about
Right.
talking to the library
Right,
and
right.
seeing if they could put it in there. But we'll use it for fundraising, so
Yeah.
people can actually see it, cause I think
That's a
it'll be
good
really
idea.
beautiful. And it'll be more helpful than a sketch. So we're looking forward to that. And it really should be soon. We've got to connect with him and find out. And then any questions on NEBI or? And the next item was the City Hall Gallery. So, do you want to talk about that?
Yes. If people want to keep passing this and then we pass it back to me.
Do that.
Okay. So, I've been working on putting together information and structure for a gallery in the anteroom of the city council chambers. So that space now that is, has some things on the wall now. But the idea is to create probably 3 exhibits a year that would go into that space. My recommendation is that we start out with things that are all on the walls to just understand how the space can be used. And there were some questions that the city manager was interested in having the center part with the columns there filled in with something, but I think that we should see how the room can be used before we add other things to it. And so as I said, I think that using the walls and the movable pieces of the movable system to hang the art would be the best way.
I mean,
for
like a
us to
hanging
start.
system, like
Yes.
with the ledge, like we do at Portsmouth Historical? Yeah.
You can go into
Yeah.
that space and look at the
That's
hanging, the
instead of
hanging that's
putting
there.
nails or something in the wall.
Correct.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
a really good way of
exactly.
doing it.
Yeah. And so, and what I have 3 people who have said that they would like to work with me on getting this off the ground. Lenny has said that she would like to work with me, Mara and Mandela Pruitt said.
Mandela may show up tonight. She spent emailing me 3 times this afternoon. We said we can meet by email, but she would like to physically come. So that you
Okay.
can see the space, so she may go up.
Okay,
Told her I wasn't exactly sure what time our meeting would be over, said
Yeah.
it's anywhere from 6:30 to 7, so.
Yeah.
Sometimes 7:15.
I called the conference room A, which was
Right.
correct. I took a guess.
so the three of us will work together to begin to put more meat on these bones, so to speak, and get back to you after we've had a first meeting. So, and yes,
Yeah, I have a question. So you're just talking about the anteroom. What about the hallway? So remember there used to be kids' art in the hallway? That's not really on the
I-
agenda at all?
It's not,
I don't know. It's a good question. It's something we can talk about. And I don't know if the city has decided that they would like to confine the artwork to a certain areas, and that's something we'd have to check with. And I don't know, Sean, if you know anything about that.
I'll just say, what has been offered is that room. I think that's a good place to start.
Yeah,
That's what's been offered by the city manager, so I wouldn't. We'll focus on, to your point, on what works and what makes sense, and if there's expansion and demand, great. There's a whole effort to look at the entire municipal complex. So it might not be a great time to,
Right.
so let's take what we got here. Space.
that's why I was said, let's start with something we can see
Yeah.
and tackle, and
Yeah.
then we'll work on it. And there are obviously issues that we will have to address. The room does not at this point have a camera in it, or and is not monitored regularly during the day. And so the question is, how do we protect the things that are in that space? And I think that's something that we'll be discussing and looking at. And it may be that we have a recommendation that there should be a camera there, but then the question is, who's looking at the camera to keep up with what's going on in the space?
So does City Hall have cameras anywhere?
That's a good question.
We do, I think.
So
some places,
somebody's
not
obviously
everyone.
looking at them, so maybe that can just be part of their
I,
added on.
I don't know that someone is sitting there like you see on TV with. So I think it's there to go back and look.
Sure, yes, exactly, so exactly, that's
I think,
all I need.
I'm really speaking from my perception, not.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, somebody's not sitting there looking at it, but if something looked
Yeah,
off, you can
right,
go back and
right.
see.
And the positive thing is that some of our technological staff works in that space during the day, so they're coming and going quite a bit, and so people know that, I think. So it's clear that there's somebody coming in and out of the room all the time.
Is the entrance to the whole building, is there a camera near the entrance? You know, the sliding glass doors?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay,
I don't either.
well, having exhibited in many places, including like the 100 Market Street where nobody is sitting, just people passing by. I have had a painting stolen from there, but it's it rarely happens.
Yeah.
And I leave stuff in the button factory, hanging up in the hallway, and all kinds of people come in, including unhoused people who are looking for a bathroom, and I've never had anything stolen off the wall there, so. Me as an
Well-
artist, I wouldn't worry about it too much.
Well, I think we'll
Which I'm sure it-
look at that, and we probably need to know more about
Yeah.
insurance information from
Yes.
the city. And those are the kinds of things we will be working on as a team. Any other questions or thoughts about issues that we should address?
Yes, the lighting in there, if my memory serves me right, it's just there at the election, volunteer for election workers, poll workers meeting and coming in, I thought, boy, this lobby's dark. I mean, the lighting is not ideal for artwork, you know, if it had like even daylight bulbs or something, just even changing the bulbs out. You want to be able to spotlight particular paintings and stuff. Of course, you know, that costs money to change the light, but maybe even changing the bulbs from type that they are to daylight bulbs would make a huge difference.
So those are the kinds of things that we'll talk about
I
and
go,
look at.
when I got my MFA at UNH, when I was trained in museum hanging, and Mandela Pruitt works at NHAA, knows how to do it. So like, these are things that we'd be very cognizant of. You know, they can be improved over time.
Yes. Great, thank you.
Great, thanks, Ellen. I think that'll be exciting when we can unveil that. So this is just an FYI on the Rail Trail mural. A member of the team that oversees the rail trail reached out to me. Chris and I had met with them months ago. And they had a request from someone, it was a local business owner's daughter, who wants to get some artists together and paint a mural on one of the overpasses. So they were kind of looking to us for guidance, and I just responded and said, you know, I think it's important to know who owns the overpass. That's the first question. And then I think it would probably, you know, would have to go through our guidelines and have to be approved. If it is the city that has responsibility for it, you know, we have to go through the process. So we're waiting to hear back on that, and that was weeks ago, so I haven't heard anything. So I don't know if that means they're not moving forward, but you know, it's just an FYI.
What particular bridge were they talking?
They didn't say what specific bridge.
That first one right near the rail trail, the entrance to the rail trail by the skateboard park.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they just had someone come to them and propose it. And you know, we were on their mind, good thing, because we had been there a few months before. And so there, but you know, we haven't heard back yet, but I think it's all in good hands, but it's just a good example of the kinds of requests that can come in.
It'd be very cool, especially if it's near the skateboard park, you know, it'd be kind of funky and
Yeah.
youthful and fun potentially.
Yeah, you just want to be careful that it meets the guidelines and all of that,
Right.
you know, someone's not just, you know, going wild with it.
My husband and I did last winter, someone gave it to us as a gift. And it was a guided tour of graffiti art all through Boston and mural art. It was amazing. Amazing, it was stunning.
Oh, that sounds great. Yeah, wonderful. Okay, so the next item is the Cabot Lyford Curator Tour, November 1st of the exhibit at the Portsmouth Historical Society. And I've been on the curator-led tour, and it's really fabulous. Rachel Walls, who was the curator, and she represents Cabot Lyford, does an amazing job. So I think they're doing it at 2 and 3 on Saturday, November 1st, this Saturday, and it, or 2 to 3. 2 to 3, it's just once.
2 p.m.
2 p.m., 3 p.m.
And Sunday's the last day.
Yeah, Sunday's the last day, but if you haven't been, it's so interesting. And Chris and I also met with Rachel at Bohanko Gateway Park to talk about whether there's something we could collaborate on in getting one of Cabot Lyford's pieces in the park. And Rachel was she was very excited about it. We parked in the Albacore, and then we were walking over, and there's that little stream, and there was a beautiful heron sitting there. And so she was just amazed by that. They hang out there a lot. And so she was talking about doing something with like a flock of his birds, different birds. So it sounded really cool.
I noticed that, I mean, a lot of the work is owned by the estate of Cabot Lyford, which made
Yeah.
me think it's available, possibly.
Yes, so so Chris had that idea too. And Chris, do you have anything to add about that with our meeting with Rachel?
Well, just Mara, that the estate owns a great deal. Many pieces are available, and pieces that were done in wood are available to be cast in bronze, which they have done in some cases. The prices are, you know, obviously depending on the scale, but they're in the depending on size, 40 to 150,000 range. So they're in the range of what our other pieces have cost in the park. But the catalog apparently is really quite extensive, and Rachel will be sending us some ideas and some options for future consideration. She understands that it's not going to happen overnight, and it's something that we'd be looking for over time.
Be so good.
Yeah, and if you do go on the tour, I mean, introduce yourself and say that you're a member of Park.
So I'm a little bit confused. I thought you stated that we already own them?
No,
Oh,
no, they're owned by the estate. So I think they have them
State.
in storage, right? A lot of them are in storage.
Say if we own them, why do we have to pay for them?
Yeah, I know. We don't
Well, some
own.
of them have been exhibited like our exhibit. They loan them out quite a
Yeah,
bit.
yeah,
I
yeah,
see.
they do that kind of
Alright,
thing
thank you.
too. But yeah, so we'll see what happens with that. And then the next item is November 6th, Spiraling Serenity Dedication and Vito DiBari talk. So we've been getting ready for that. And I think we could really use help from people in spreading the word. If you can, the release is posted on the city's website. I can send that to you. There's also an e-bite, which I can send to you. And, if you can just email to your friends, share on social media, just let people know that this is happening and,
Is it in the
like.
city newsletter? I know you said it's on the website.
It's in the city
It is in-
newsletter,
okay.
and then yesterday's Portsmouth Herald ran it on page 3 with a photo, which was really nice.
Oh, yeah.
Is it on the City of Portsmouth's Facebook page so that it can be shareable to other Facebook pages and other groups?
I'll check on that. I haven't checked,
So,
I haven't seen it come up on that, but sometimes things don't come up.
So Ernie, could you kind of just brief us on what you want, how you want us to participate besides showing up and being
So,
enthusiastic?
it's going to, so of course, at 11:30, we're going to be doing the dedication, at
3:30.
At 3:30, what did I say?
Just like, whoa.
Thank God. But, and there's gonna be a speaking program, and, oh, she's already asking about, she already got the question answered on Facebook, or they're checking on it. So, there's gonna be a speaking program, and then everybody will walk over to the Strawberry Bank. And we're gonna have just a very casual reception. And then the talk will start at 5, and that's gonna be a brief talk on what was it? I've got it somewhere.
can art save the world?
Yeah, something,
So-
is it something about creativity? Let me see.
Beauty save the world.
Yeah, okay.
It's a question. So you
Yeah.
think about.
Yeah, so who knows what he's gonna talk about?
He is ready to go.
Okay. Do you have a better sense of what he's gonna talk about or specifically?
Just, no,
Yeah,
I don't.
okay.
Should we have some of his talking points just so that we're aware of what he's gonna say?
Well, it would be
Kevin-
nice, Nancy. We have stood on our heads to try to get here.
I
Yeah.
see.
And the reason that we've waited so long to get some information out is because we've been waiting for that. He really wants it to be a surprise. And I think, what I've been telling people is, first of all, look up his bio, but he does a lot with art and technology. And he's interested in AI and arts and technology, and has examples from all over the world of different public art installations and performances that have happened. So I think he wants to weave all this together in kind of an artful way, and inspire the audience. So I think I think he's thinking of the talk as almost more of an art piece itself, which is hard to describe.
Got it.
So I like the way, I don't know who came up with this language, Chris, if it was you or Stephanie, but in the Evite, it says Vito DiBari is an internationally recognized keynote speaker who addresses AI and other emerging technologies, comma, the relationship between technology and the arts and innovative design. So just, that kind of touches on some of the possible topics.
I would send that out to like all the art organizations in town. You know,
Yeah.
artists would be
We've been,
into that.
We've been working on it.
we've been working on it, and Sean Sean, I think, sent all of you the invite that you can just forward to others.
You already have the invite.
And been to the Arts and Cultural Commission as well.
Yeah, a press release went out last Friday from
Yeah.
the city. But I was gonna say, I think maybe you should also send a personal invitation to the city council. Yes,
Okay.
because we haven't received that. We've only received the press release.
Okay,
Website, you can do it all at.
Yeah.
If it's been sent out to art organizations, I'm a member of 3 galleries in town plus the Button Factory, and I run the Button Factory Open Studio. I've gotten nothing from any.
well, Lenny, we received this yesterday.
Okay, so Lenny, I
please.
might be in touch with you and see if you can help us
Yeah.
like, with who we should get it to.
Okay,
Or if you can help getting out, maybe we can talk after.
sure.
Yeah, we've just,
Sorry, I just pushed it out to Park and Arts and Cultural Commission and said, please share with your network. I
Right.
didn't go
Yep.
into each individual art.
Okay. Can I?
You know,
But
we-
and there's no
doing-
problem if people get multiple invites from us.
Right.
I've sent probably 50 out over in the last day, and I've been hearing back from people that they are planning to come here and there. So, we're not asking for a registration or anything like that, which is why we want to blanket this a little bit more.
Yes, back up just one day. Are we still having the park dinner at 5:30 to 6:30 the night before with
we
Vito?
were gonna get to that. No, the night of, we were gonna do,
The original conversation was about the night before.
Yeah, the night before.
okay.
So those are two different things. Let's finish this one up first.
Okay.
Okay, the other thing, so I guess if you already have the Evite, is there anything else? I guess you have everything you need, and I'll just touch base with Lenny to make sure we're getting to arts. Right? Is there anything else? you need?
Yes, I have a question. So you said there's gonna be some talking points at who's talking and what are they saying?
We're working on the program, but who do we have? The mayor, Chris, city
Sean,
manager.
is the city manager going to speak?
I sent her the agenda. I've not spoken to her. She's been out of town all week.
Aha.
But so we'll lock that down.
And how long do we think we're gonna be there? Half hour, 45 minutes?
Oh, we're gonna keep it pretty quick,
Okay.
like
gonna get started.
15 minutes. And I was gonna do like a program, like this is who's speaking. They'll speak for 1 minute, this is what they'll focus on, that kind of
Yeah.
thing. And I'm planning to do that, because I think that's always helpful to have, I think people appreciate having it. But it'll be 15 minutes at the most.
Okay.
Mara asked about other things to be helpful. I think it will be helpful as you walk over to sort of, or be in the parking lot, sort of directing people to where to go, because I know in giving directions myself to people, you don't really see it at this time of the year from the parking lot. So kind of shepherding people, I think, will be helpful.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
And what about maybe using some flashlights, because it gets dark daylight savings is this weekend.
I think we've timed it. I think it's a good idea we should check on. I think our timing is they'll get to Strawberry Bank by the time it gets dark. But flashlights are always a good idea. Now with cell phones, it makes it a little easier.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and also then helping people, shepherding them back to Strawberry Bank and encouraging them to stay for Strawberry Bank, for the talk at Strawberry Bank.
Yes, definitely. And then the reception, we're just trying, we were thinking of just keeping it really simple and maybe having some, wine and water and maybe cookies, or if we, if we had if we cheese and crackers, that kind of thing, just something that people can nibble on. But I mean, we've got to figure out where that's gonna come from. I don't know if anybody has
And
any.
the Strawberry Bank will let us set up early.
Oh, yes, they
Has
will.
to be set it up, it has to be set up before the event, so we can walk over, so that's a little tricky.
So I,
They have a manager for these things and he's been in touch with us.
Yep, okay, yeah, no, I know.
so I don't know if anybody, no pressure, but if anybody wants to contribute to the reception, what we're gonna have there. If you wanted to contribute a bottle of wine or cookies or, anything, just let me know. Because we'll either, either I guess it'll have to come out of our park budget or,
Well, to be honest, if we wanna do something really simple, for a small amount of money, you can go to like Hannaford or Market Basket and get like a cheese plate with cheese and
Yeah.
crackers and fruit. It's literally like $35.
Yeah.
So that might be something, and if people wanna add to that, but that's simple and we're not putting a lot of pressure on people.
But you would like some wine?
We thought it'd be nice to have, wine and water. I don't know how people feel about that.
I won't argue against wine.
Okay.
So we'll tell you if we want to bring 2 bottles of wine.
Yeah, let me
Yeah,
know if you can, and as I said, no pressure, but let me know if you can bring something. That'll be great and we'll figure that out. And then the next item was just the dinner. So if you wanna talk about that,
Yeah,
or,
so I've been in communication with Puddle Dock. It's close by, it's, Nancy had a nice suggestion of, kind of a more seafoody forward restaurant. And he's willing to give a gift certificate for Vito, and
okay,
then we would just pay for our own meal.
okay, that sounds perfect. And what time were you thinking for that?
So we just have to let him know how many people and what time, but
Okay.
he has that kind of slot set aside. I think I said 6 o'clock.
So is that
Puddle
Puddle Dock.
So do we know, have people
Yeah,
responded to
yeah.
you? Okay.
But everybody's here, so what I'd really like to say is there anybody that's not going?
What day is this?
It would be Wednesday night, cause this is on Thursday night.
No,
I thought it was after the
I
event.
think
That
you
was-
talked about it as after the event. That's what,
Oh, okay, then I was
originally-
confused. Cause he's here for 2 nights, right?
But-
right, we don't know when he's coming in on Wednesday, and I think the original idea of Puddle Dock was that we would all be there and walk over.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's Thursday night. All right, I gotta just make sure that.
No, Thursday would be on the
Thursday night
sixth,
is
after the
Oh,
event.
After
Kate,
the-
So I can't be there until 6:30 because we have city council meeting, the canvas of the vote meeting, which is less than
Wait.
30 minutes, but it's at
I
6.
think 6:30 is actually maybe wise because we did receive from Vito today that the talk will be about 45 minutes. If we start at 5, and you've got to believe there's going to be some mingling and some Q&A and whatever.
Yeah.
So probably we're safer for the restaurant's sake to say 6:30. You can always be early, but I'd hate to be late with this many people.
So I had the pleasure of speaking to Vito directly. He's very particular about how he does things. So as an example, I think he'll be somewhat quiet and reserved before his speech, his lecture, and then he'll let it rip. And he specifically requested, Chris, if you recall this, that there not be a Q&A where people are raising their hands and lobbing questions at him for him to process. So it'll be the mingling, if you will, where he may be kind of off to the side, focusing himself. Then there'll be the lecture, and then he can release and mingle afterward. But he's literally said, please don't set up a Q&A where people are. Because that doesn't work for him for a couple of reasons.
Remember, he's not a native English speaker, and I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
I think in the negotiations we've done, we've noticed that it takes a long time for that reason.
I just wanna, we may have an issue with restaurant week begins on the 6th.
Oh, I thought it began on the 7th. It begins on the
It's
6th.
on the 6th.
But if we're, we're a large group and we're paying our own way.
Well, they might be full though.
But Robin, when you originally contacted us, you said it was for the 6th, so they may think it's the 6th.
No, I said it was for the night before, with the 5th.
I think, but you told us it was the 6th, so just
Yeah, I had it down.
clarify that.
Not as the fifth,
No,
not
it's,
the
I
fourth.
have it right here, November 6th reception, all set for dinner.
November sixth, yeah.
November 6th.
So that's the date
Oh,
it is.
okay, all right.
So you did have
For
it for
some
November
reason,
6th?
I don't know.
Yeah, I had
I'm
it down in my
looking-
calendar as Wednesday, the fifth.
Yeah,
That was the original conversation.
Yes.
Well, you'll.
that was the original email I sent out, because I sent him an email, like, I sent like the next day or two. So that was the original conversation I had with him, with the guy from Puddle Dock.
Yeah, that's the 6th.
So, Robin, you're gonna follow up with Puddle.
Yeah,
Dock?
I'm following up with him right this minute.
So the,
And this
the
is
email,
November
the
6th.
emailed subject from Robin says restaurant on November,
The 6th after
Right.
his talk,
so.
Right.
not
Right,
the night before his talk.
Okay.
And Robin, you're still looking to know right now who is not going to join for
Yeah,
dinner?
so Kate and Beth,
I'll be there. I just will
Oh.
be, I can't be there till 6:30.
that's fine. Yeah, that's not.
Be at the earlier
Yeah, I think we-
events,
I
but not
think
that.
Yeah, so let me find out what's going on with the 6th, because Nancy pointed out that it's restaurant week and a lot of restaurants are.
Yeah.
Slammed. They already have reservations.
Keep our fingers crossed, right?
Well, he'll get back to me pretty quickly, so.
If not, is there some place that we could have a catered dinner brought in if we're gonna get to that point?
And not every
Right.
restaurant participates in restaurant.
Oh, I'm not sure Puddle Dock does,
I'll check.
because I just made my reservations. I didn't see that.
I'll check.
That's a good point. Okay.
So we still don't know when he's arriving,
Well,
He's
he's coming on the 5th, right?
on the 5th.
But not what time, you know.
but we don't, that's what I'm saying. We don't know if he's coming at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4.
He's still working out the details.
Okay.
They, I don't
They're
think they
not.
understood our geography.
Hmm?
very
Little
well.
Dock is
Oh,
not,
wow, perfect.
so that's good. Hopefully Friday they can take us.
So yeah, so they're not part of it, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So the dinner is November 6th, Thursday, after all the festivities.
That's clear.
And are we inviting anybody besides our group here? Because there'll be 9 of us. Beth is the only one, I guess, that can't make it. Sean, will you make it?
Pretty sure, I'll let you know.
Okay.
10? That makes 10?
So it's just gonna be our group and Vito, but we have a
Yeah, I think that's a large
Okay.
group. so-
Yeah, I think that's.
Right. all right.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Great,
Robin.
thanks.
Thank you for
Arranging that?
What about the Italian students? Were they?
Oh, yes, so she got back to me today, this morning, and she has the woman that teaches Italian in town has a conflict on Thursday, so she's not gonna be able to bring the kids.
Oh, darn.
I know. She said that, if we want, she can ask individual kids to show up, but it's not something she can organize anymore.
Mhm. Well, I mean, if they want to, if individual kids want to come up, it might be nice.
Yeah.
Although if he gets worked up and he's gonna be kind of quiet before everybody gets there, maybe he
Yeah,
won't even.
I feel like he was making it very
Okay,
clear he had.
maybe-
no problem.
Okay, maybe it worked
Yeah.
out for the best.
Yeah. Sounds like that.
Yeah, she was very apologetic because she was all, interested and excited, and then I just got a text from
Yeah.
her today.
All right, so the next item,
Just so people know, the plaque is due on Friday. It's to be shipped tomorrow, gonna be there on Friday. The base of it is already installed, so it's there. So all they have to do is just basically put the sign or put the plaque onto the holder. So I checked it out today. It's there. It's exactly where we said that we wanted it. So it's really good, because we unfortunately had to leave little stones and take pictures and things, but it's all set to go. Public Works knows that and they're ready to rock and roll. So, but we need to give a shout out to Stephanie, because that was a quick turnaround and she really did do a great job.
And it's a prototype for future signs.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, Chris, do you want to talk about the bench?
Sure. Bob Thorson has been, followed up with CEJA, and we do expect we're gonna get final drawings. As it turned out, Bob's children were not very happy with the turquoise color, because much like I think our sensibilities, they wanted it to be a little bit more like the color that we see in the Atlantic or in the ocean. And so Bob, being the artist he is, mixed a number of different paints and looked at Sherwin-Williams and gave CEJA about 6 different swatches of possible colors that are a lovely, they were a lovely, any of them I think we all would have been happy with, because they have an element of teal or turquoise in them, but they don't have that sort of Florida neon turquoise. And CEJA selected one, and so she is working on getting us a drawing, a design that includes that shows more what it'll be like. And Bob is working on some final cost items with our goal that we would bring it would go to the city council for their November 17th meeting, so that we could, much as we did with Nebby, we could have everything approved in sort of one fell swoop. So that's all on track, and so far so good. And the prices are still, I think, well within the range. As you had heard Bob say, he will contribute half of it, and family members will contribute some to it as well. So I think we'll only need to raise, in the $5,000 to $8,000 range.
And I think it's important too that CEJA is doing this, she's not taking any, funding for her services. She was close with Sue and she's doing it for Sue, which is very generous of her.
Indeed.
Well, she's getting paid for the artwork, just not for the design of it, correct?
Well,
Well,
whoever
materials.
fabricates,
Okay.
whoever fabricates it will get paid.
Okay,
But she's
She's
not
donating.
charging us for her time at all. She's
Okay.
donating that. Which is really sweet of her. Yeah, she's a nice person. Yeah, I was talking to her husband. She just got a new commission in Joliet, Illinois. And she's doing he sent me a picture of it. It's this dome in the center of the town, like in their Market Square. It's pretty cool. Okay, next is the discussion on Portsmouth for 100th Anniversary Education and Public Art Trust Fund. Nancy had shared drafts she did. And I don't know if everybody had a chance to look at those and if they had any.
Yeah, just looking for feedback,
Yeah.
really, on, I know, Ernie, if you want to share what your initial feedback was, I don't know that we really set any time frame to begin, but one of your concerns was that it aligned with a school year, so that
Mhm.
by the time they found out they were getting the funds, they were still in school. I mean, it's one thing to think about.
Yeah, the timing, we just wanted to
Yeah.
make sure because, the school, of course, the school system is going to be a likely applicant.
Right.
Different, and wanted to make sure that it aligned with their
Right,
schedule.
and I don't know how, I mean, maybe Lenny or, I don't know, maybe if artists and residents, do they always do it in that same school year, or is it something maybe for the next school year? when they get awarded some funding. I don't know if
I
you.
guess it depends
Yeah.
on if they have a project, you know, in the hopper ready to go or how much lead time they need.
I think we need to be flexible in when they would carry it out for that reason.
Yeah.
So if with what you've proposed, when I look at the timeline, I think, well, we might be able to, let's say, award things in maybe early March at the earliest this year, which, they might do something as a culminating thing, or they might do it, plan for during the rest of the year and then carry it out in the following year. I think it's kind of up to us to be flexible and allowing them to carry things out over a period. It could even be longer than that, depending on what their plan is.
Also, I was thinking if, for example, the artist, like having taught middle school and high school, often I did art projects and the students were engaged in it, like, you know, painting the set for the play, the school play, the background, like I would work with the students. Anna Nattel Nuttall has worked with students, you know, on the African burial ground. But if it's something that students might not be able to do, or they might be using materials like, I don't know, some kind of spray paint where you all have to wear a mask or something, it might be something that they don't want the students present because it might be either hazardous or tripping over ladders, or they might want to do it when school's not in session during a vacation break. So I think it really depends on what the project is and what materials are being used. I mean, I would love to see students actually involved working with the artists, but I can't mandate that.
But also remember, a lot of this was not about art making, but about education, about public art. So, something like that might even be done in the summer or out of school,
Right.
because it's really the age of kids that the focus is, not necessarily, doesn't have to be the school itself. It could be Discover Portsmouth Historical does something with kids over the summer, for example.
Yeah, okay.
Arts
So
and
does that-
Reach
did
or
anybody-
something like that.
Yeah, definitely. Did anybody have any other feedback on what we shared? Yeah, I'm looking at I just found my.
I said last time about engaging the Clipper Foundation, perhaps. I don't know if that made it in there, either for
I got that in my notes.
spreading the word, or they actually have a pretty robust process for writing grants, and they might be willing to partner or share.
I think one of my questions was about whether we would be giving money to individuals or whether we would want it to go to an organization, a school, a nonprofit. I could argue either way, but I didn't know what people thought about that. A lot of times there's sort of nervousness about funding an individual. And for the individual themselves, it might even be a tax issue. So I don't know how people think about that. On the other hand, we have a lot of creative people who might partner up with a school and offer something.
Agenda materials from Chris.
Well, maybe so the Clipper Foundation has grants that they give out. Maybe it's worth us connecting with them and just asking for their feedback and advice. Because I think that's the kind of question they might be able to answer if they're doing that kind of thing all the time.
Well,
Yeah.
they fund teachers, though. I mean, the people that they would fund would be teachers within their school.
Oh, so they would do all individuals rather than an organization.
I think that's how they were.
Okay.
Right.
Some experience giving funding directly to artists through the charitable foundation, artist advancement grant. And so I think there's room for both. If an individual has a really robust plan and has a lot of experience, or if an organization, and maybe we even have the opportunity to fund both kinds, just so that we can learn and see what what works really well and maybe, you know, so I kind of like the idea of leaving it open. And I know from my experience, I've done 3 rounds of the Artist Advancement Grant. They take the application very, very seriously. I mean, it's their
It's a lot of
profession.
money.
Yeah. And if they don't, the nice thing about that experience that I've had is the artists, every applicant gets feedback. And some of it is just a rubric, but some of it is written feedback. I always provide written feedback. And they really read it and use it when they reapply. You can see over the years, the artists that take constructive feedback and make their proposals and their projects better. So that's been my experience with individual artists. So I just wanted to share that.
Good, so.
One thing I think we should add to the project summary is a bullet about how the proposed project connects to public art. Because that really is the purpose of the trust.
Great.
And then in the timeline, the milestone examples are all about sort of a creation. And I really think it's going to be often less about creation. So maybe some examples there like workshop or presentation that are less about creating a piece.
Are you taking notes too? Are you?
Yeah.
Okay, we can circle back together.
What was it you said, workshop and?
Well, or a presentation, maybe just some other ideas that where it doesn't appear as if people have to use this just to create a major piece of public art, because it's not a lot of money for that.
Right.
All right, sounds good. So we can get together and come up with another draft that reflects
A little bit
all
more
of the,
clarity.
yeah, the input that we got and kind of figure out what we want to put on the website to announce it and all of that.
And maybe we can make, if you want to make an appointment, we can go talk to, if you want to, as well. With
Yeah, if people think it would be helpful to, you know, I don't know that much about the Clipper Foundation. Yeah, I don't know that. I'd have to look into what they do. I don't really know that much about what they do, so.
Let's look into it and we'll decide
Okay.
if it's, if it's
Sounds
worth it.
good.
Okay. All right. I
Right.
love us.
I
So-
guess one thing I'm interested in is whether they have to go through the trustees of the trust fund or whether they are able to do things independent of that. You know, they are an entity of the city, but I don't know how that works for them.
Okay, we'll try and find out.
All right, and then the next topic is the flash vote questions. And Chris had put some on, included some on the agenda. And then Beth responded with some good ideas as well. So I passed some of those out. Her ideas from Beth. Yes,
This one? Yeah.
Yes, we're just getting down, I mean, we're gonna have to narrow this down because, you know, I think, what, 5 questions max? But if anybody had any thoughts on that,
So we have to whittle this down.
yes. And I think maybe, do you wanna talk about it now, Chris, or do you wanna, just
Well,
share?
I'm guessing, Sean may know more about this, but I'm guessing, Monty wanted to do this within this calendar year, so we probably should see if we can get him our priorities for questions, and then we can let him select. I think they prefer mostly closed-ended questions so people can answer them quickly. With a little bit of open-ended.
Yeah, I found a website that had best practices for flash vote, and it was kind of interesting. I mean, it's kind of intuitive. But, you know, people are doing this in 1 or 2 minutes. They're filling out these, yeah. So you want to be really concise. focus on a single objective, target one issue per question, you know, you really wanna think about how people are gonna answer.
I think we're most likely to get responses if we have multiple choice options. So like these questions that have things like mural outside, mural inside, sculpture outside, that where people have options.
Yeah.
And then only have like one question that has an open-ended, like maybe the, you know, what is your, or where would you recommend the future placement of a piece of public art? Like only one question like that?
Excuse me, Ernie,
Yeah.
where is this going? How is it going to be administered and who's gonna be answering these
So
questions?
the city has this, I think people sign up for it. It's very
That's
cool. If
It
you're
is,
not, if
yeah.
you're not signed up for it, it's kind of fun. Because they send it out periodically and it just, I don't know, I think they have like 500 people who are subscribed to it or something like that. And they'll ask you questions about a different a different topic every time. And you respond, and then what I love is they send you back the responses. It's all automated. You know, it's
So
a.
where do you find this? It's on the city website or you
Yes.
I
have
think he
to?
posts it in the newsletter too, doesn't he? A link to it?
I don't remember where I initially saw it. It's
Yeah.
been around
Have
for
it on the
a year.
city
Year
website.
or so.
Yeah.
But
Search
I
for
love
Flash
when they send back the feedback, you know, how everybody responded. This percentage said this. And you know, then they even show the individual comments.
If you Google flash vote Portsmouth, New Hampshire, it'll come right up and you can, there's a sign up today. And you will get an email the next time there's a flash vote.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very.
You know, of course, it's an opt-in group,
Just-
people that are really
Hampshire.
interested in the city.
Portsmouth, New
Um,
Hampshire.
Here's
It's all one
Google.
word.
No,
No,
just
just
Google
Google
that.
Google
Flash-
it.
oh,
Got it,
And it will take you right to the city's webpage.
Mara got it.
I got it.
Yeah. I highly recommend it. You don't have to, if, you know, you don't have to fill out every one, but if you have an interest, it's fun.
Cool.
But before we ask which questions, should we really discuss a little bit about what's our objective for this? So that we know what questions that we need to go around. Is it just to get awareness? Is it to really get input? What are we trying to do with this flash vote?
I think when Ernie and I brainstormed about this, it was both of what you just mentioned, Jen. It was
Okay.
partly to create awareness, and that's why we wanted at least one of the questions to link to the inventory of public art. But also, you know, I think on the garage and, you know, where people would want the next piece of public art, I think it's genuine input. We would need to do more for input, like on the garage, but I think this could be a really interesting starter place. But I would say awareness 2-to-1 to input.
And maybe we'll get some interesting information that will help guide us.
And can I speak just to the awareness part, which sounds vague, but it's a really good thing because, you know, when you look at some of the Facebook comments, for instance, you know, where people, you know, guys are like, when did this happen? How did that happen?
Yeah.
What do you mean? You know, it's kind of like, okay, well, it's sort of.
That's why I put in the question, have you ever attended an input session?
Right, I mean,
If not,
because it's
shame
like,
on-
okay, it becomes, it's, you know, it's out there.
And you know, that's another thing, it's a different topic, but Chris and I have been talking about is building awareness. And how can we do that? You know, I've been talking to Dawn, who does the Port City bike tours. She has a public art tour, but she hasn't been able to attract an audience. So I said, well, maybe you can come and talk to us, or like, can we create a, you know, Robin, not anymore, but you used to do the walking tours. Can we
Tomorrow's
create,
my last day.
okay. So you still do. Can we create a public art walking tour?
Well, we have one. I have it right here on my computer. I can. I.
But then if we have them and there's not enough, how do we get the word out about them? And then the
Well,
other
and
thing I
that's
was,
exactly, I think that's exactly this awareness building, and that's why we're trying to do so much around the spiraling serenity. It doesn't mean that everybody's gonna come, but it helps to build that awareness.
you know, we could put something on our website that, you know, gives the options for exploring, you know, along with the catalog, here are some options for exploring public art,
Yeah.
even, oh, yeah. So
When
that
we
was
did
with the
this-
Art Speak?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but oh my gosh, there's
It's so old.
there's
Can you-
three
can you
times
say
more
that?
art, there's
Yes.
3 times more art.
Oh, yeah.
Than
But,
when.
I mean, you couldn't do a tour that had every piece of public art, but how can you highlight it and then lead people to the, to the catalog?
Yeah, and I think a self-guided art walking tour might be a good way to
Yeah,
start, because
self-guided.
it's really hard to start a walking tour, I will
Mhm.
tell you.
Mhm.
There's a lot of research and, you wanna make sure that the person is good with the public and there's just a lot that goes into it. I think having a self-guided maybe walking tour first, that's either an app or something that people can click on and read a little bit about it.
Mhm. So it'd be nice, like, before we have our summer season next year, if we had some options for exploring.
And there'll be future flash votes. This is one to just take an opportunity before the end of the year to use one that we have.
Yeah.
It's a good tool for the city.
I just want to remind everybody that like, we're not gonna solve the eternal problem of helping the everyday person appreciate art all around them. Like,
Yeah.
it's just not realistic, and we shouldn't spend too much time worrying about that, and just make sure that the stuff we are doing is of really high quality and very well labeled and very well explained. This is not a visual art community. It takes everybody a while to come along, and that's okay if they don't. It's okay. Enough people do, and visitors do, and like someday they'll get there, but art is so subjective. And so I just wanted to like, don't set us up for too much,
Why do you say it's not a visual art community?
because we can't support art museums, they keep closing, and with so it's a performing art community. Clearly,
Mhm.
that is more strong than the visual art aspect. And to me, that means that our community isn't as knowledgeable about the visual arts, because we're not able to keep visual art institutions open.
Okay.
So that's why I see this flash vote as a very, like, initial, very fundamental way of just having 500 or 600 people
I love it.
be aware that there is public art in Portsmouth.
And I think this was a great conversation, and I think it's gonna help us, refine those questions.
Is there a way to make this sort of playful? Do you know where these 5 objects are or pieces of art are? Do you realize that in your community, and then go into the survey from that? Rather than just something that's all
Can you get this
questions?
on the flash vote?
It's super short.
Yeah,
The
okay.
flash vote's like it's supposed to be a flash vote, like a super quick response, like a series of short
Yes.
questions that you can answer. A multiple choice or yes or no, and then maybe like a fill in the blank, maybe,
We
you know.
we might be able to, if we write something like that, we might be able to convince the city to just make a Facebook or an Instagram post or both, and see if people respond and share it and see if people respond. I mean, that's something that we
Yeah.
could do where people can be more open-ended with their answers.
Use that to
But
encourage them to
taking-
sign up for the flash vote.
Yeah, taking what
yeah.
Ellen said, maybe there's a way to change some of the questions to be more direct, like I'm thinking, did you know that Portsmouth has 73 pieces of public art? What's your favorite one? Or, something along that line that gives some information and doesn't just get input. We could do some of that as well.
Well, I think that it would, just as somebody who's never experienced flash vote, it would be useful to go look at it and see how it works before formulating questions that you want people to respond to, because not having known anything about it, but hearing what I've heard, it seems like you kind of want to be in their model, or in a model that people who do it are used to participating in.
I would also think, Mara, that Monty would help us with that he could help, because he's the one who's done the others, he could help take our questions and frame them a little bit more like what Flash Vote expects.
Cool.
Yeah, I love that way you kind of refine that question, you know, how many pieces of we have X number of pieces of public art and what's your favorite? I like that.
And this was, Flash Vote was kind of started out of a request, I believe it was Counselor Tabor asked for us to look at Flash Vote as an option because we have troubles getting public input at the council level on various issues because people just don't show up to meetings. Or it's this, same 20 to 30 people that we see on a regular basis and you want a broader idea of what the community thinks. So this is a way to get statistically significant data back from the community, and you have to hit, I think we had to hit 800 signups to make it statistically significant.
So we do have 800?
We did when
Yeah,
we
good.
launched, I believe. I'm not sure how many we have now. I don't know.
Oh, okay, that's great.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's, I don't know why I wanna say that.
Sounds good.
It's about 22,000.
How would you like us, do you want individuals to send in which of these questions they'd like? A tally, what is your?
Yeah, I think what do you think, Chris? If everybody gives us feedback, maybe
We
in the
checked
next.
ours, I could hand it right to you, we just
Okay,
members, I
okay.
right here.
Okay, sounds
That's a good
good.
idea to do that, and then
Yeah.
we.
But don't forget the ones that Chris had on this, because they were,
They counted too.
that were on the agenda.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe
They're
just
kind
add-
of the same.
Some of them are kind of the
Some of
same,
the
but they're, like, they have like an A, B, C, D, E, and F.
Then to vote,
some
we'd
of
have to
them are
give you the
the same.
agenda back.
And it says right on the Flash Vote, 802 members in Portsmouth and 642 in Rockingham County. It says
Oh.
right there.
Okay.
It almost seems like after the conversation, the larger selection here could incorporate some of these specific examples into the multiple choice.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
And this is kinetic sculpture.
Yeah.
Interactive motion,
Right.
It's not unfair.
Yeah.
right.
These have some very specific types.
All right, yeah, so if you want to give those to me at the end of the meeting, I'll collect them, and then. Or if you'd rather, or just send, if you want to send them in, in the next week or two, that would be great.
I just said one thing, it says which area should be the next priority for public art. I'm not sure we should give people suggestions for that. Like maybe.
Could get in trouble, I said that I wanted a piece of public art here and.
Right, I guess, but those, I mean. Then maybe put other. Or does it, oh, it
think there
says
is
other
another.
there, okay.
All right, anybody have anything else on that, or?
Well, I just think to Robin's point, there may be value to say, into asking, where would you like to see art? Because people might say, oh, it's all in they might mistakenly think it's all in the south end, it's all in Prescott Park, and I live on the other side of the railroad tracks, and my area is underserved, we're ignored, like, maybe people who feel that their end of town is, doesn't have as many trees, doesn't have as much
Yeah.
art, like, it would be kind of good to know that.
It would be cool to have a breakdown by ward.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that would be. I was just thinking, is urban forestry, is that state or city?
That's state, it's not city, it's,
Okay, cause I know it's really well used. I was
Interesting.
thinking that would be a cool place to have something.
the other place that's kind of underutilized is the community campus building.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's well utilized as well.
Exactly.
actually, Kate, were the renovations on that enough to trigger a public art?
Oh, we wish, but no, definitely not. They came in under I think that there was 3 million for the school renovations. And then there was a separate project, the most recent project,
And
which
what's
was
the
like
threshold we need to reach?
5 million now. And the separate project was the recent renovations of the building as far as moving different entities around, and that came in, I believe, under 2 million. So not yet, we haven't, we haven't had a major project there that triggered, but, which is unfortunate, but,
About the garage renovation, the Hanover.
oh, yes.
Oh, well, yes, we
Yeah.
have. the money
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah, yeah, we have money for the Hanover project.
And is there someplace around there that there could be public art?
Well, that's why we've asked
That
that
was one of
question.
the questions.
Yeah.
That's
Does it
one
say
of the
Hanover
questions,
versus-
for the high, it's on the
The third-
agenda there.
Oh, right, yes.
Also,
Right.
exempt
So
from
we're
public
looking
art.
at-
All right, so
And
if
just
that's
one-
that, we just have to vote on the an expenditure of $671 for the spiraling Serenity plaque. And
I move to spend $570, $670 on the,
$71.
I move to spend that amount of money on the spiral, on the plaque.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so I think that is it.
I wonder if there are any last minute things about the dedication and the talk, any other questions people have, because that's our big thing, and we won't see each other until the end of near mid-December then.
So, yeah, so I just have a logistical thing, just because I've done rentals and events for years. As far as Strawberry Bank goes, we should probably have a time where we're dropping things off. So we need to talk to Strawberry Bank about when we can drop it off, who's gonna set it up, are they responsible for setting up? Should one of us stay back and set it up? Cups, napkins, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'd be responsible for setting all that up, and I'm glad you raised the cups, napkins, whatever, because of course that's our responsibility. I can ask James.
Yeah,
Good timing would be for setup. I don't think they have anything else going in there, but I'm talking with him again tomorrow, so I'll confirm that, Robin.
and I know they have AV, I just want them to check it ahead of time, because I've been to Strawberry Bank before and somebody speaks and the AV isn't working, so we
Yeah.
definitely want to make sure that.
You want to charge me personally, make sure that his slides come
Uh-oh.
out beautifully.
Okay.
I'll be doing that.
Okay,
Oh, boy.
awesome.
That's a lot.
just as a matter of the logistics part, we do have to also worry about cleanup.
Yeah, we do. We need
Yeah.
the day after, and so that's why I think we should probably have dinner like more closer to 6:30.
Yeah,
So we have time to do all that. And what will Strawberry Bank provide? We have to bring trash bags? Do they have trash cans? Do they have,
Well, I know they always have trash cans set up there for the reception. But those are good things to ask him about.
we're not paying for this space, right?
No, we're not paying for it.
So
It's
it might be a
community
little
service.
different. We just want to make sure that we've got things covered.
Yeah. So you
Yeah,
got-
Chris, just dial me into whatever that
No,
conversation.
we'll talk some about, I mean, I was planning to do a
No,
more
I did,
detailed
yeah,
to-do
just
list to
just
make
about
sure.
logistics.
And I don't know if everybody wants to see that or if
I think we trust you.
Chris, I was planning to do build on your to-do
Yes, she
list
did.
with these kinds of things. So we have it all laid out.
The only advantage, I mean, we don't have to see it all, but it would just be useful to know what's happening, to know how one can insert oneself into the thing. I mean, I've set up a lot of.
Yeah, so we can send it to you beforehand and just some key things you might, yeah, okay,
And we're gonna send you information if we're gonna bring something anyways.
yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So I feel like if you could say, I need 2 people to bring this, I need 2 people to do that, I need 1 person to be here. And then we can respond saying, I'll do
Okay.
that, I'll bring that,
Good.
rather than us just guessing.
Yeah,
What
it
if we
sounds
all
like it's
say
starting to
one?
get,
Yeah.
Very cheesy
Right.
words.
Right.
So
We could do that.
if it's very specific, then we can know what with
And
And can you
actually.
add guiding people to that list? Because I don't mind standing out in the parking lot and guiding people, but somebody else might not want to do that, so.
Mind setting up?
So I'll come up with something by the end of the week and get that out to everybody.
Thank you.
I had something else for everyone, unrelated. The Marissa Kang new wall art that was installed, is that on our list?
Yes.
It is, I didn't see it. There's the list.
It came up, yeah, it's on the very back.
Oh, to the very back, okay, I'm just double checking.
Oh, I didn't see it. What did you say, Kate?
The
I
new
don't
Marissa
see it.
Kang piece
Oh.
that just went up at White Hair, and I was making.
I
sure-
added that to, at the very end.
Okay,
It's at
good.
the very,
I just
very
didn't
end.
see it, and I
If
wanted to
someone-
make sure
oh,
we
I
didn't miss
hand
it.
wrote it in if someone wanted to.
I did
research
that one.
She's having some sort of opening
thank
too. Did
you.
you see that, Kate?
No.
Who is it?
Yes.
Oh, Korean Tiger.
Yeah.
That's Korean Tiger. Jen signed up for that.
Excellent.
I did
She was like, who was that? Chris, question for you. Can you just keep me let me know about the flash vote timing, because I want to get the inventory done by the end of November, but if we need to pull that back, because I know Stephanie has awesome edits. So I would like to get that to her ahead of time, but it would be nice if we could have the new. Time for that.
Definitely. I mean, the other thing I guess to say, is I'm still thinking about Mara's question about how to be helpful. There are gonna be a lot of people, I think, there will be some people coming to this who really haven't been engaged with us before in public art. So it's a great opportunity, just as we mingle in the reception and as we're walking with people outdoors, to also, find out from them about their interest in public art, remind people about the Bohenko Park and that we're doing fundraising for additional pieces. So just the conversation with the people who show up for this, I think will be helpful.
And also we need another park member.
Yes, and I'm glad you raised that. I did not, when this week's newsletter listed commission vacancies and ours was not listed, so I did contact the city clerk to remind her that we had a vacancy, so that that would be listed along with others.
Maybe that's one of the questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kate, do you know any more about the?
No, I'll reach out as well, because I have to work on the Arts and Cultural Commission too, and their upcoming potential vacancies.
Okay.
Do we have we thought about what if it's raining pretty hard on the dedication day? So, and we're talking about people walking around outside, we're talking about how lovely it will be to stroll, and so.
I mean, what I've been saying is we'll cancel the dedication in case of inclement weather, but the talk and reception will still happen, and we'll just move some of the remarks in there.
It's supposed
But it's, I do like doing an invitation where you can get some response, like I like the Evite. It's a whole question if the Evites get lost in the email sometimes, but it's also nice because you can communicate, who said they're coming, and you can communicate with them and say, the weather isn't looking great, so we'll just have to count on like social media and
And also, if it's raining out, I think there's a
People
lot of
won't
people
come.
that would use.
Yeah.
common sense, yes.
They're not gonna.
The weather,
would hope.
the weather looks good. Chilly, but the weather looks good. That's the extended forecast.
Right.
So let's just hope that holds.
Yay.
Do we have, would it be inappropriate not to, or to have the Nebby, anything that we have for Nebby, just kind of there? At
Yeah,
Burbank?
I wondered about that.
I think that would be, I don't see that as a problem. That's a parks.
Yeah.
Lenny, you don't like?
I don't like it. Because
that's
this
a
is
good idea.
Vito's moment to
It-
shine.
Yeah.
And say, oh,
Good
here's a
idea.
different artist that's gonna do something if we can get enough money. It just seems like it's taking away from Vito. I
Okay.
wouldn't do it personally.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But I do think we could, if we have individual conversations with people, we
Oh,
could follow up with them with the NEBby information, in an email.
yeah, not with that, we can't talk about.
People
No.
will say, what's next?
We have a.
Something we haven't discussed is once we have the maquette, we could ask organizations like Strawberry Bank to host it periodically, so.
We're talking about actually doing a series at the library around that, and having it at the library for a while. We did that with the Bearing Ground, and it was effective to get the word out.
And maybe we could do a whole, like, just a public art presentation at the library, you know, have, direct people to the catalog and, you know,
That slideshow.
yeah, you know, that's the whole thing, building awareness. And, you know, I just feel like we're putting so much energy and effort into this that, I mean, I think it's important to build, to do what we can. To build awareness of public art in Portsmouth.
Well, Marissa King, I just went on her Facebook page or whatever, and she wants to do a public art walk. She's already said she's doing some sort of thing to unveil hers, but she's interested already. She said, would people meet and go for a public art walk? So
Um,
There
I
you
thought that
go.
was interesting.
Another way to raise awareness is to do a presentation perhaps of our catalog that Beth and everybody has worked on at Rotary.
Oh, that's a really good idea, Nancy. That's an excellent idea.
And then could talk about we're celebrating our newest completed piece, Barry, and we have this next opportunity coming up
Is anybody on the Rotary here?
with
The Thursday lunch talk.
Isn't Molly Hodgson, I think, is the new president, right?
is she?
No, Chamber, she's the new,
Oh,
well,
she's the chamber, okay.
Chamber Board President.
Well, I know Julia Phelps is very.
Yes,
is
very.
Oh, Julia, sure.
So I could just reach out and ask her how Park could get on the
Yeah.
calendar.
They have like the year planned ahead
Yeah.
of time, who does the Thursday lunches, so if we could get on that.
Yeah, so I can do that.
That'd be great. And we have the wonderful rotating PowerPoint that Beth did of public art pieces that could even just be shown in the background while they're having their meal or something like that. And it could be a very brief presentation, because that really catches people's eyes.
What about one of the chamber events? They, you can get on their calendar too and do either their morning mixer or their afternoon happy hour or something where they often have a guest speaker.
I'm sure Ben would be very open to that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities, even creative mornings where you can go and do your 30-second pitch.
But there's
right?
right, the 30-second pitch.
There's
Yeah, that's
30-second
it. That's
pitch.
right. Yeah.
Oh,
No.
what do you think about setting up the rotating art visuals in the Strawberry Bank Museum at the reception? Do you think, Letty, do you think that takes away from Vito?
Not if it's everybody or, you know, the ones that we've already cataloged and everything. I think that's showing, you know, Portsmouth supporting visual arts and sculpture, et cetera. I was just thinking before, like, if I was an artist at my own opening with my reception, I'm about to give a talk, and there's this one other artist, Mr. Nebby, over there saying, hey, I'm here too. I would be like, not done. But if you have everybody in a slideshow just saying, this is Portsmouth, this is the arts in Portsmouth, and then it's different because it's showing us as a community supporting so many different artists and that this is part of our identity as Portsmouth. So I think that's a different flavor.
Well, we can set that up, and that also gives people something to talk about during a reception and
Yeah.
period.
Anything else, or does somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Watch out, trick or treat tonight, it's dark now.
And I just need my pen.
Oh, thank you
Because I
so
like
much.
this pen.